Downplaying the actions of the Nazis? That's a
now
big.
You're saying that that's downplaying the actions of the Nazis, and maybe it is.
In addition to that, I don't have the exact examples. This is an hour-long conversation. This was a widely criticized interview.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to ban him? Should we just ban him? That's not
what I'm saying.
So tell me what you're saying then.
You're jumping to conclusions. I think that's the framing that you want, but that's not even what Ben Shapiro was saying. He's saying if you're going to have these people on, own it. And Tucker isn't doing that. Tucker will say, we're just having, what about having a conversation? If you sit there and let people just say nonsense, open like Nazi apologia, that is on you.
This all starts with Ben Shapiro going on a fiery rant at Turning Point USA's America's Fest, attacking Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and Tucker Carlson, saying they should be held accountable for talking to Nick Fuentes. Then on the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur pushes back, defending Tucker Carlson, rejecting Ben Shapiro's claim that interviews equal endorsement. But Jordan sides with Ben Shapiro, arguing that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens do bear responsibility for who they platform. Now it's Cenk Uygur versus Jordan, Tucker Carlson versus Ben Shapiro, and a full-blown fight over accountability, power, and media control. This is a good one. Let's plug in.
You're not just having a conversation, you're letting them spread hate to whatever your audience size is. And I think for Tucker, he wants to share an audience with people like Fuentes. That's his goal. That's why he didn't push back, and Piers Morgan did. Piers Morgan doesn't care if Nick Fuentes' fans watch his show. That's why he was willing to play back clips of Nick Fuentes saying openly anti-Semitic, openly racist, openly sexist stuff. He didn't care. Tucker does, because he wants part of that audience. For him, it's about views, clicks, and profit. So for him to throw his hands up, just a debate. Where's the debate, brother? You're not pushing back. You're just letting him say whatever he wants and nodding. That's not a debate.
So what do you want him to do, Jordan? You want him to just do the show you want and not the show he wants?
That is how you conduct an interview. You don't just
so you
criticize mainstream media constantly for letting establishment Democrats go on air, say absolute BS about healthcare, never push back, but suddenly Tucker is, what is he supposed to do? Ask questions.
Yeah.
The universal standard.
Jordan, so you didn't like the way he conducted the interview. So what?
It wasn't an interview. He just nodded and agreed.
So what? So what?
So what when the mainstream media turns a blind eye to Democrats taking corporate donations? So what? What are they supposed to do, Cenk? You don't like the way they're conducting the interview.
No. When the New York Times writes a good investigative story, which happens very rarely, but we cover it and we give them credit where credit is due. And then when they cover stories, they cover up for Epstein as they just did. They cover up for Israel as they do almost every time. Then we lambast them and we criticize them over it. Okay, so on Tucker, I don't agree with him on this World War II nonsense, okay? And I don't agree with him on a number of things, including what he said about Somali immigrants recently. And I agree with what he's saying about free speech in Israel. So what? Okay, so we just did it. So what else do I need to do? Do I need to slap him? Do I need to ritualistically denounce him? What do I need to do? And Jordan, you missed that every single one of these targets are people who criticized Israel, and we're all supposed to reach.
There are Jews on the left who criticize Tucker for the same thing.
Hold on. Are we all supposed to ritualistically target and destroy all opponents of Israel because we found something else they said that was wrong? Okay, perfect opportunity. Let's go destroy everyone who doesn't agree with Israel. My answer is hell no, F no, no way. And it's not a coincidence, and it doesn't have to do with anti-Semitism. It has to do with destroying the opponents of Israel, and you're being super dense if you don't see that. Tell me you don't see that. Tell me that that's not the connective tissue.
There are plenty of people on the left who also criticize them for the same things. Are they also doing it at the behest of Israel?
Criticizing Tucker Carlson, etc.? No, yes. They're playing into it like suckers.
Like, yeah, Jewish lefties, if not now, people like that. Those are the people who are criticizing. They're suckers for criticizing Tucker for having
No, not for criticizing him. I just criticized them.
Guys, this isn't really about Nick Fuentes or even Tucker Carlson. That's just a surface story. The hidden layer is who gets to decide what counts as a legitimate conversation. Jordan's argument is, if you don't push back the way I want, you're complicit. But Cenk's point exposes the contradiction. Mainstream media ignores lies from powerful institutions all the time. And suddenly, this standard only applies when the guest criticizes Israel or the establishment. So the real fight isn't hate versus truth. It's gatekeeping versus free speech. And who gets erased when they challenge the approved narrative.
No, I just criticized them. You could criticize any particular issue, any disagreement you have. That's called freedom, no problem. But this whole ritualistic denouncement, and no one should go on their shows, no one should ever talk to them. And don't tell me that's not what Ben Shapiro is asking for. He's definitively asking for that, and he's asked for it this entire time. Megyn Kelly, you're gonna get canceled if you better never talk to Candace. You better never talk to Tucker Carlson. Well, I'm not gonna respond to, I'm not gonna give in to those thugs. Then I'm not gonna let him cancel everyone who criticizes Israel. And if you're helping them do that, I'm sorry, yeah, you're a sucker for Israeli propaganda.
The pro-Palestinian left, who also separately criticizes these right-wing figures for after years of bigotry, years of Islamophobia, suddenly seeing a window for
it's true.
Gathering or garnering a new audience rooted in anti-Semitism. That's just, yes, we got to just turn a blind eye to it because they happen to, on the surface level, agree with us.
Oh, look, there's no critics of Israel left. Oh, what a coincidence, especially on the right wing.
Plenty of critics.
They don't care about the left wing.
There's plenty of critics of Israel on the left.
Yeah, but how much of an effect have we had?
What has Tucker done? What has he accomplished other than talk?
Jordan, are you seriously not noticing the massive effect that Tucker Carlson has had on getting the right wing to realize that Israel is not our ally, that they've taken 300 billion off us? They want another 100 billion. They want another 100 billion for a 20-year memorandum of understanding. They're trying to rob us of that money as we speak. Tucker Carlson is the most effective opponent of that robbery. I will under no circumstances cancel that brother who is doing amazing work on that issue. And then I will have no compunctions about criticizing him on other issues that I disagree with him on. Not complicated. Whereas apparently you're falling back to, that's it, illegitimate, that shut down the most effective fighter against Israeli oppression in this country from the right. The right wing matters. If you only have the left wing, we'll never be able to defeat the Israel first crowd. You have to have the left wing and the right wing working together on the right project. Now, when Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes talk about the Jews, it drives me crazy. It's so wrong. It's factually incorrect. It's immoral. It doesn't make sense. We should only be talking about Israel. Now you say Tucker does that imperfectly. Fine, he does it imperfectly. No, I'm not gonna denounce or cancel or do any of those things. And by the way, Jordan, you have the luxury and everybody else has the luxury of being able to say, oh, okay, he says something offensive about Jews or this or that. Okay, that's it. Well, he's also said good things about Muslims, which no one does, no one. And I'm supposed to cancel one of our few allies because they slightly offended Israeli interests? No, I'm not doing it. The minute that anyone in mainstream media says anything that's as positive about Muslims as Tucker Carlson has, then I'll listen to them. But those are giant bigots that hate Muslims, that drive hatred towards us on behalf of Israel. And I'm not gonna play their game and go, yes, sir, absolutely, sir. Of course, sir, go back to crushing my people, sir. No, I'm not gonna do it. No, my people are not inferior, and we don't have to give away our rights and our speech and our allies to appease people who love Israel. No deal.
Well, I found it kind of funny that Ben thinks he has the power to decide who gets excommunicated from the conservative movement.
In the Israel First crowd is Ben Shapiro, Tel Aviv Mark Levin, and many others that want to put that ahead of America's interests.
Truly, Ben Shapiro, you and the midget horse that you rode in on. And I say that on behalf of the world.
Damn. Candace just smacked Shapiro back to Israel. Guys, this isn't about what was said. It's about who gets to decide the rules after the fact. The moment speech becomes acceptable only when it passes approval from a small group of gatekeepers, debate dies and permission replaces principle. Cenk Uygur is pointing out the double standard. You're allowed to criticize anyone, but you're not allowed to talk to everyone. Tucker Carlson isn't being defended as perfect, he's being defended as independent. And when Ben Shapiro starts drawing moral red lines about who can speak to whom, that's not accountability, that's ideological enforcement. Free speech doesn't require approval. It requires the right to be wrong, challenged, and heard. That's the Matrix. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.